Hey everybody, Ian Maddox, HMFP. You'll notice I have a guest here today who I'll introduce in a moment. This is the Financial Planning Simplified video series, but because we have a guest, we might want to call it the Socially Distanced video series. And for the next couple of weeks, I've decided to mix things up a little bit and do a community series. So I've got a number of different folks lined up here in town that I know that have different areas of expertise. Wanted to introduce Alan Taylor. I brought him to the table because, and first let me disclose, Alan is a friend. He is not a client, but he has a very diverse experience with different aspects of finance. And rather than me steal his thunder, let him give you a quick rundown of the things he's done previously and then what you're doing now. So,
all right, thanks, Ian.
You're welcome.
Again, thank you for having me, and thank you for what Hitchcock Maddox does for our community. You guys are great supporters of our community, so thank you for all you do. I started my career as a banker, was in banking for a few years, then I went into the manufacturing business. I ran a manufacturing company for 22 years, then got back in banking, and of course was a local president here at Bryant Bank for 10 years. And then about 5 years ago, kind of felt a tugging, a calling to kind of leave the corporate world and come to the church. And so now I'm the financial guy here at the church, the administrator here at the church. So yeah, wide variety of things I've done with different kinds of industries.
Sure, and you didn't mention the fact that you also serve on our city council, so you have some exposure to city finance, municipal finance as well.
I do, yeah. I've been honored for the last 8 years to serve on our city council, and I'm on our finance committee for the city council, and so it's yeah, that's another whole different animal there.
Sure.
City finance.
And this is what intrigues me about your experience, because there's probably some themes that carry through that, but what are some parallels that you would say connect personal finance with organizational finance, like some of the things that you've seen that are similar challenges or similar opportunities that individuals or families have versus organizations, whether it be a city or a company or a bank?
Well, I think whether it's individual or corporate, I think the first lesson you have to learn is you don't spend more than you make. And
Sure.
And so that's really probably the biggest parallel in business. You have sources of income, and those incomes come in, and you got to make sure you don't overspend that. And then the other thing that I think parallels is saving. I think whether you're a corporation or you're an individual, you've got to have a plan for the future, and so you've got to have a plan to put some monies back for certainly you don't think about putting it back for a pandemic. None of us planned
Sure.
for that, but just to have that plan so that I can have some monies in the future.
Yeah. Are there any things that you would say, kind of top 2 or 3 things you'd say that are uniquely different? Whether, because this audience is different. We may have small business owners,
Right.
we may have families, individuals, whatever, nonprofits that may watch this. Is there anything that you would say is distinctly different when you're managing finances between an individual family versus an organization, or even a municipality for that matter?
Yeah, and of course, municipality
It's a totally different
is
animal,
a
right?
Totally different animal. It's with public funds and those kind of things. But I don't know that there's anything that's uniquely different between personal and business. Usually in business, there's a lot more of it than
The volume.
The volume is a lot greater. And in business you have political and social kind of things you have to deal with. But really it's as you know, finance is pretty simple. It's
Sure.
It's income and it's outgo, and you got to make sure that those stay balanced.
Right. The only difference, and this is just observation from clients that I've worked with, those that are just individuals, maybe that have retired, or those that have small businesses, sometimes, and you may concur with this, and even from your banking, because you dealt with a lot of business customers, there's a lot more moving parts in a business, and so there may be more risk. You said volume, of course.
Right.
Typically a business is going to have more dollars flowing through
Right.
it, in and out. But just the exposure to risk, the fluctuations with cash flow, because of other things that can impact you, and depending on what kind of business you're in,
Right.
that can make things more complicated. Would you agree?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and in any business that you're in, you have that fluctuation of cash flow and managing that. I spent 22 years in the manufacturing business, and the challenge there was overall making sure you had enough work to manufacture to meet the customer's needs, but
Right.
you didn't have too much work. And so, we laughed back then and talked about sometimes we didn't have enough work, and so we're building product this week, and we don't know what we're going to build next week, and that's stressful. But it's also just as stressful to have too much work, and you can't meet those customer needs. So I think probably the biggest difference is those that source of income that's coming in, that fluctuates, whether it be via sales,
Right. Product,
via
service,
loan.
whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest difference.
Right. And some of it can be seasonal, again, depending on your
Right,
business. So
right.
perhaps maybe the need to have even a larger cushion, perhaps, to
Correct.
prepare yourself
That's
for,
right.
for, you know,
That's right.
ebb and flow, I
Right.
guess. All right, I'll put you on the spot here. If you had one piece of advice that you think is universal, and maybe you already hit it at the beginning question, but if you had one piece of advice, whether that applies to family, individual, or organization, from just a standard financial principle, what would it be? If you could narrow it down to one thing.
Find a seasoned professional in the business and let them help you with it. I learned that at an early age, in my early 30s when I started to work. You know, I'm a pretty good banker. I feel like I'm a pretty good city councilman. I was pretty good in manufacturing and dealing with people, but the financial planning aspect, you need to. My advice to anybody is find you somebody that you trust, somebody that you can depend on that'll help you put together a plan for that
Right.
future. Without it, it's almost impossible.
Well, that's a perfect plug, just so our audience knows. I didn't know he was going to say that, but I mean, it's the same concept, and I say this all the time. If you're sick or if you have a disease, you don't try to treat yourself,
Absolutely.
right? You may very well, someone watching this may have financial expertise, but at some point you may say, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm doing this over here, and I want help over here. So whether it's a financial advisor, planner, a banker, a tax attorney, an accountant, just finding people that you can latch on to. And I get it. Some of those services cost something, right?
does.
And so there has to be this concept of value that you get out of that, but that's good advice.
It is, and you know, I'm a financial person. I have a degree in finance. I've been really involved in financial situations my whole life, but my expertise is not in that financial planning. And I learned early on, find somebody that can help you navigate that.
They see the big picture.
It does cost a little bit to do that,
Right.
but at the end of the day,
It may cost more not to have it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm nearing that retirement age. I'll be 62 this year, and I've been doing it a long time, and I'm now starting to see the benefits that when I was in my 30s, I thought, man, is this a waste of money to be spending, to have somebody help me through this? But now I'm starting to see the benefits of having a professional that guided me through the whole way
Right.
of my career doing that.
That makes sense. Well, Alan, I appreciate it. Guys, till next week, Ian Maddox, HMFP. If we can be of help, reach out, connect to us on email, give us a call. However we can help, let us know. Until next time, bye-bye.